In the swirling colors of 20th century Mexico, where revolution painted the streets and art bled from the soul, two wildly different hearts collided and exploded. One was Frida Kahlo, a woman who wore her pain like a crown, whose eyebrows met like two lovers on a bridge, and whose art tore open her deepest wounds and laid them bare on canvas. The other was Diego Rivera, already a legend in Mexico, a towering muralist with a belly full of politics, a brush full of fire, and a reputation as messy as the revolutions he loved to depict. She first saw him on a scaffold. Frida was just 15 when she first noticed Diego. He was painting a mural at her school, the Grand Preparatory School in Mexico City. Perched on scaffolding like a bear in a suit, splattering politics on the walls. She called him the fat man. He barely noticed her, but by 1928 Frida had changed. A terrible bus accident at 18 had broken her body in ways only she could understand. Steel had entered her spine, pain had become her shadow, and from that wreckage her art was born. She took 3 paintings and marched straight to Diego's studio. She didn't want praise, she wanted truth. "I've come to show you my paintings," she said. "Tell me if they're worth anything." Diego looked and saw more than talent. He saw Frida. They fell like lightning. He was 42. She was 22. He was married. She was defiant. The age, the rumors, the warnings, none of it mattered. In 1929 they married. She called him Toad Frog with strange affection. He called her the boss. But love between artists is never quiet. It was a storm of passions fueled by admiration and smashed by betrayal. Frida gave herself completely. Diego wandered, betrayal upon betrayal. Diego had affairs with models, with friends, even with Frida's own sister, Cristina, that nearly broke her. She fled to Paris, then New York, then back again. And yet, despite the heartbreak, she always returned to him, or he returned to her. Frida once said, "There have been 2 great accidents in my life. One was the bus crash. The other was Diego. Diego was by far the worst." And yet she loved him, fiercely, fervently, with all her broken bones and unbroken heart. Art was her revenge and her redemption. While Diego painted on walls, Frida painted on her own skin her dreams, her miscarriages, her fury, her stillness. She painted herself again and again, because as she said, "I am the subject I know best." She wore Tijuana dresses, smoked like a chimney, spoke with piercing wit, and entertained Trotsky in her blue housen. She had lovers to both men and women, but none ever seemed to replace Diego in her bleeding heart. They divorced. Then remarried in 1939. They finally split, papers signed, paintings sold, hearts cracked, but a year later they remarried, this time on her terms, no sex. Separate finances, more respect. Was it peace? Not quite, but it was theirs. A final goodbye. Frida's health collapsed in the 1940s. Her leg was amputated. Her pain became unbearable. She painted in bed. She smiled through morphine. Her last diary entry, written days before her death in 1954, read, "I hope the exit is joyful and I hope never to return." Diego would later say, "I realized too late that the most wonderful part of my life had been my love for Frida." Their love still hangs in the air. They were 2 artists, bound by paint and pain, revolution and rage. Their house is now a museum, their art legends, their love unconventional, uncontainable, undeniable. Frida and Diego, a masterpiece of passion, framed forever in the colors they bled for.